my pleasure to invite the guest of honor, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Rwanda, to deliver the keynote address for the day. You're welcome, sir.
Co-chair of the board of the SDG Center, Mr. Aliko Dangote, fellow board members, honorable ministers representing their countries, Dr. Takao Toda, Vice President of JICA, Dr. Bile Begasho, Director General of the SDG Center, members of the Diplomatic Corps, and representatives of the regional and international organizations, business leaders, members of the academic institutions, distinguished delegates, last but not least, few other people I saw in the audience, Amina Mohammed, the UN Deputy Secretary General. I saw the Secretary General of our COMESA organization, Cindy Songwenya, and other important leaders in the audience. I wanted to thank you all for being here with us. Let me say, for Amina Mohammed, she has been serving with us in other capacities. She had agreed to work with us on the task given by the AU to reform the AU. And while she was just in the middle of that, the Secretary General of the UN came calling. And since the Secretary General has right of way, we obliged. But she's still working with us on that, and we'll be presenting the results of our work in a few days in Addis at the AU. So, but at the same time, that also speaks to the fact that we were one step ahead of the Secretary General when we asked her to serve with us. Once again, let me welcome you, our guests, to Rwanda. Many of you are here for this one-day event, but I hope you will stay longer to explore the country and get to know more about the people of this country. I want to thank you for joining us to launch this SDG Center for Africa and discuss how we can work together to accelerate the implementation of our continent's development agenda. I also want to thank Dr. Begasho and his team for the good work that has been done in the past year to set up the center here in Kigali, as well as the funders who have made it possible. I also thank Jeffrey Sachs for being the very strong force behind the creation of this idea. The SDG framework is intended to be applicable and relevant to all countries, and not just the developing ones. But as Africans, we should see this as an unprecedented opportunity to bridge the gap between our current challenges and our ambitions by using and by doing once and for all the right things in the right way. This center will serve as an important focal point for advocacy and coordination. But like the SDGs themselves, this institution is a tool to help us get what we really want, and that is results. We therefore have to ensure that the actions we take contribute to fundamental change in the lives of the people who need it most. Events around the world teach us that both fragility and strength can be found in any country. So we all have a role to play. And what is really important is cooperation, working closely together to make progress. The total amount of traditional aid from all donors adds up to less than 5% of the estimated cost of the investments needed each year to achieve the SDGs. That figure is not going to increase very much, if at all. Therefore, as we continue to make the best use of available development aid, the solution to funding the SDGs has to come from business activity, philanthropy, government, and the individual contributions of the world's billions of citizens. In order to succeed, we will need to integrate important lessons learned from implementing the MDGs, particularly promoting gender equality and harnessing science and technology. Raising our focus from reducing poverty to building prosperity will also require closer collaboration with, as well as higher expectations of, the private sector. I think that's the weight brought on board by one important member of the board and a member of the private sector, Aliko Dangote. We are happy to have you on the board, and we welcome you today here. Thank you for being with us. We do not need to reinvent business or change its mission. It should keep doing what it does best. But all the stakeholders should be measured against the same standards and goals. We therefore have to establish a clear way to measure impact of both public and private sector actors. We are a year into the SDG framework, and it is time to create certainty and build momentum by deciding how to monitor and evaluate progress. Building the data systems required to operationalize the SDGs should be a strategic focus for public-private partnership. I'm glad that Aliko Dangote made mention of this earlier in his remarks. The companies involved have extensive experience designing and managing complex information systems. We need to draw on it and work together. In addition, when the contributions of all the various actors are visible and comparable, it is much easier to see how initiatives can leverage each other to achieve results for citizens. Let me end with a final point, which is also the most critical. And this is instilling the mindsets and habits that are most conducive to attaining the SDGs. Ultimately, it's about what citizens do with their own time and money. For Rwanda, a consultative and participatory approach has been indispensable to the modest progress that has been achieved. But we can all do more and better. The SDGs offer a unique opportunity to highlight the importance of good politics and make it more widely understood as a prerequisite for inclusive and sustainable development. Thus, these goals, global goals, should not be seen as an external agenda, but as an integrated part of a country's development vision. Once again, I thank you for your participation and contributions and wish you a very productive conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the keynote address and your words of wisdom. Thank you to all the distinguished speakers